tie the knot, our shoes are laced up tight. We'll never lose this race, not without a fight. We're gonna love like it's going out of business, Mr. and Mrs. going the distance. We're gonna love like it's going out of business, Mr. and Mrs. going the distance. Ooh.
What's up, that church? Man, how about that little dance action in there? Did y'all like that little? I'm telling you, that's exciting. I almost got into the moment, but see, my wife's in Cabot, and when you're the pastor, you can't just grab any old girl in the church and start dancing with them. People kind of they frown upon that. You'll lose ministry points. Unsportsmanlike conduct, 15-yard penalty right up in here. But man, I like that. Hey, we need to do that more often, a little dance off or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad y'all are here. I'm excited. I'm excited. Some of you, this is your very first time at that church, and I'm excited that you come to hang out with us. Those of you online, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm thankful for what God's doing in your lives. Over the last several weeks since we've been in this marriage series, I've got numerous pieces of correspondence, people talking about how that their marriage is changing and how their life is changing and how God is working in their husband and working in their life. A lot of people that are single have hit me up and said, hey, look, thank you for helping me clarify, through God's word, what it needs to look like to try to date in a crazy, discombobulated community. And so that's exciting. And I really, to be honest with you, one of my favorite topics is marriage. One of my favorite topics is dating. I love the book Song of Solomon. And I'm going to kind of miss moving on from this message series. I really am. But I want to say this to you, though. I'm going to say that I really am excited about the series that's coming up. And I don't know that I've put more work or energy into a message series like I have this Come to Worship series that will be for the entire month of December. I believe we're going to be blessed. I really do. I believe God's going to move in some pretty incredible ways in all of our lives through this series. But let me just put something in your ear for something for you to think about. The month of December is an incredible time to invite people. I know we've talked about that a little bit already, but I just want you to start thinking about some people that you could invite. And let me just give you some categories of people for you to think about, just throwing an invitation out there and going, hey, won't you come go to church with me? Just a simple little, no, don't be weird about it, no strings attached, just a little, hey, come check it out. But everybody's got some friends that you need to invite to church, right? You got some friends, some bunch of us got friends, they're on the cusp of hell, need Jesus, right? Or how about some relatives? We've all got some relatives that some of you think they're possessed. They need to be here. Okay? Like an exorcism on any given weekend. Associates, some folks you work with, some people around you at the cubicle at the office or whatever that you need to go, hey, just come with me. And maybe, how about some neighbors? Somebody living next to you that you're like, you don't even know their name. Give them a holler. Say, hey, how are you doing? I baked you a cake or whatever. Do whatever it takes. You know what I'm saying? And invite them to church. I think what would be cool is if through the month of December, we just saw this huge influx of people just kind of showing up at that church would just be something really, really special and incredible. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And can I encourage you to do one more thing? If somebody ever comes with you, would you kind of navigate them through the church and make sure they feel at home until relationships are built and stuff? Be kind of proactive. I don't know if you realize what it's like to come into a place for your very first time. Some of you, you're here today and this is like your first trip. I hope there's somebody here to help you navigate. We want at that church everybody to feel like family from day one, because you are. I mean, you are. We're like the Roach Motel. Once you check in, you can't. No, we're not like that. We're not like that. That's another church. That's the other church. But we do want you to feel welcome. We want you to feel like that, hey, you know what? I'm not a weirdo, or they're not weirdos, and they're just regular people. And we want you to feel comfortable being here. We really do. I just went on a mission trip with a group of pastors, and it was weird. I'm not in circumstances very often that I feel uncomfortable in, but among a bunch of pastors, I feel uncomfortable. I don't know why. because I don't really think of myself as a pastor. I don't understand that, but it's just the truth. And I remember being there and I thought, that's got to be sometimes what people feel like when you come to that church. Maybe you feel, I don't know, just a little whatever out. Man, we don't want that. We want you to know that we're family and we're all figuring this out together. We all need a Savior and we're very excited about that, but we're not weirdos, okay? There's some Christian weirdos. You know that. You've met some, right? I have too. We don't let them come to church here. You got to go somewhere else. You're going to be. No, I'm just kidding. We'll accept weirdos too. So, but anyway, just do that and give them a chance to let your friends have a chance to kind of check it out and just kind of navigate them through some stuff. I think it'll really matter. One more thing, our bike thing. Out front, every year we give bikes away, and I always have people give me a little bit of grief. This was my idea, okay, and let me tell you what my idea was. My idea is that yes, do people need food? Absolutely, and we give food away. If you've been around that church any time at all, we feed people, we give people clothes. People go, you're going to give a kid a bike, man? Well, they need clothing. Listen, I get what you're saying, but think about this. You're a single mom, you're working 2 jobs, the hot water tank's gone out, you're doing the best you can just to make ends meet, and you can't give your kids something really cool on Christmas. Wouldn't it be cool to get up that morning and know that a church has partnered with you to give your kid a bike, and when that kid breaks into that package, they're like, oh my gosh, and you're like, yes. Isn't that cool? Someone says, Scott, aren't bikes kind of extravagant? Well, let me ask you a question. The death, burial, and resurrection of God's own Son that He gave for you, is that not extravagant? We're not suffering to give bikes away, are we? Is anybody having to get evicted because you bought a bike? Or are you losing your car? Did you skip a meal because... No, you didn't. It's not extravagant for us. But you know what? For a little kid, it'll mean a lot to them, And wouldn't that be kind of cool? And what if one day you meet a grown man, maybe it's even in heaven at some point, and he says, I want to tell you this story. I never really understood how God loved people until I got this bike one Christmas. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? I think it would be. So buy a bike, all right? And if you want to gripe about it, so anyway, just buy one. That's all there is to it. Or you may miss the rapture. It's up to you. I don't have an issue with that. It's up to you. Anyway, let's get into the message. Let's talk about love song. Last week of love song. And what I want to do is we've been traveling with this couple through Song of Solomon, 8 short chapters, 3,000-year-old book, and we've been walking with a couple from the time they started dating and it moved into courtship and they got married and we went to the honeymoon with them, and that was a little dicey, and we've gone from there. Last week you got to watch them fight a little bit, which, that's part of marriage, isn't it? And then this week we're going to look at what it means to continue this relationship with each other, to continue investing in your marriage, to continue growing together until you're just so bonded together that you're just literally inseparable. There's no seam whatsoever. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to look at. See, when you meet somebody, loving them and romancing them and investing in the relationship is instinctual. It's just easy. It just comes natural. You don't have to work at it. You want to do it. You'll call each other. You'll talk on the phone for hours. I hate talking on the phone. But when Stacey and I were dating, I'd call her and I'm like, what up? And we just sat there. We ran out of stuff to say 5 minutes into the call, and we're still there an hour later. Your ear all wadded up and red and sweaty, but you didn't care because you're talking to I'm just talking to you. Well, what do you think? Well, what else you want to talk about? Nothing. I just want to hear you breathe. You know what I'm talking about. Then after you get married, I'm a people watcher. Are you people watchers? I love to watch people. I know that seems weird, but we'll be in a restaurant and I just watch people. You ever you'll know it's a new couple, don't you? By the way they treat each other. He's all bubbly and glowing, opening the door, say, oh, here, sit down here, honey, and he's pulling the chair out and not, pulling it out for her, but helping her along the way. And they're just, she has a little cup. Oh, here, take my napkin, honey. Just all just bubbly and giddy. But then there's that couple who's been married for a while. She can be barking like a seal. And he's not even going to acknowledge that unless she needs to be Heimlich, he's not going to help her do anything or any, we expect that. We expect that a relationship comes together and it's white hot, and over time it devolves and becomes this kind of weird sort of familiar strangers living in the same house kind of thing. Well, I'm going to tell you that's foreign to what God has programmed for marriage. And that is certainly not what we're going to see with this couple. This couple, by the end of their life, are closer to one another than they ever were before. It's constantly going deeper, greater anchor points. See, in the beginning, it's instinctual, but later, as we grow into our relationship with our spouse, it's going to become more discipline-oriented. You're going to have to remember to invest because we forget. We forget how to value each other. We forget how to care for each other. We forget how to date. We forget how to romance. And guys, I want you to lead out in this. And this is where it's going to get a little weird because in our community as guys, what we've started doing is we're like, hey, you know what, romance, that's not up to the guy. I mean, you got your pant legs tucked into your cowboy boots, and you're spitting out, you're chewing tobacco, and you're like, I can't be romantic. I want you to understand that we're wired men to be romantic. We are. Let me give you an example. The greatest poets, the greatest architects, the greatest chefs, the greatest sculptors of all time, guess what they were? Men. That's right. Men. Men, we're wired for this. Ladies, get with me here. Support me some, all right? We're wired for it, guys. You can be romantic. You are the initiator of this. You hear me? David, King David in Israel was the greatest king in Israel's history, all right? And this guy was a warrior, man. I mean, he would go on the battlefield and he would knock heads when he was out there. This dude's bad to the bone. And guess what else he did? He wrote poetry and he was a musician. See, guys, it's not just the hard side, the work ethic. It's not just I'm going to put up with the tough stuff in life. You're not just you're the romantic also. And you're going to learn to lead out in this because your wife's going to need it. Your marriage needs it. Needs for you to be romantic. We need to continue what we started when we're dating. Here's the problem. Human nature is this. We tend to judge other people by their actions, but we tend to judge ourselves by our intentions. You know what I'm talking about? We'll watch what other people do, but we don't judge ourselves necessarily by what we do. We judge ourselves by what our intentions were. I can't tell you how many couples I have visited with over the years where the wife will say, yeah, but he knows how I feel about him. I don't necessarily have to say it. No, you do have to say it. Or the man will say, well, she knows. I don't necessarily show her. I don't have to show her that because she already knows. So I don't have to. No, listen. Actions, not intentions, are what's going to really make a difference in your marriage. Actions, not necessarily intentions. And so what I want to do more than anything else today is I want to close the gap between action and intention. I want us to mind that gap. I want us to push it together until finally our actions and our intentions are one and the same. And I promise you, if you'll go with me through this, couples, and those of you who are single, you can be single and you're going to get some out of this too, okay? But I want you to understand that we need to make our actions and our intentions one and the same. When we do that, our marriages will grow and they'll develop like this couple that we look at in Song of Solomon. If you've got your outlines, I just can't even overly encourage you to get them out. You need to write this down. You need to make this a refrigerator magnet. Make a tattoo of it on your chest. It'll help your marriage. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Number one, the first thing I want you to remind you of is this. If you think something good, you need to say it. You need to get used to that. If you think something good, you need to say it. Sir, can I tell you how valuable it is to look your wife in the face and say, you are an incredible mother. Now, you got to make sure you have kids first. It's not near as valuable. When you don't have kids, she may not take that as much, But for a mom, it means a lot to her. Or to look her in the face and say, you are an amazing wife. Now, you may be thinking that. And guys, we oftentimes think things that don't come out our mouth, and sometimes that's good. But in this instance, this needs to come. If you're thinking something good in your marriage, you need to get used to saying it. You need to get used to having it come out your mouth. Proverbs 18:21, notice what this says. This is from one of the wisdom books. This is where wisdom comes from in God's Word. Here's what it says. It says, the tongue has the power of life and death. That means that you can speak life into your marriage, life into your spouse, or you can kill it. You're either constructing and building something up by the words that you use, or you're tearing something down, one or the other. And you have that ability by the words that you use. Huge for us that when we think something good, we need to say it. This couple, Song of Solomon, chapter 7, we're going to walk into their life. Let me give you a little background. They've been married a number of years at this point. In my personal summation, I believe they've been married more than 20 years. Been married a long time. I believe that this couple already have several kids. Okay? So just put that in context. This is not a newlywed couple. They're not teenagers. This is a couple that's been together for a significant amount of time. In Song of Solomon chapter 8, the grave separates them as it does all marriages. So Song of Solomon chapter 7, they're well on down the pike, all right? Now here's what's happening. She's dancing in front of her husband, which I think is kind of exciting, which is exactly what's happening here. She's dancing. And I want you to notice, remember in Song of Solomon chapter 4, you remember the husband starts with her head and he begins to inventory her and he begins to go down from her head. Remember he inventoried her hair, remember that? And her teeth and everything. He's like checking her, open your mouth, your tongue. No, he goes through all that detail from the top down. Now they've been married for a while and you know what he's going to do? He's going to start at her feet and he's going to work his way up. That's what he's going to do. And that's where he's at. She's dancing in front of him. And here's what he says. He says, how beautiful are your sandal feet, O prince's daughter. Now, I want to stop for a second because I think it would be easy, especially in a sexually driven society like we live in, to think this guy's only talking about her physical attributes. But she knows something you don't know. She understands cultural context in what he's just said. He's not just admiring her feet. He said, how beautiful are your, what kind of feet? Sandaled feet. Let me tell you something about the king's palace. In the king's palace, he had servants that had been taken from foreign lands. And many times these servants would want to run off. And so guess what a servant doesn't get to wear in the king's palace, especially if they're a risk of running off? Guess what they don't wear? They don't wear sandals. You want to know why? Because in this area, you don't run very far without shoes. This woman, though, whom is his bride, she has sandals on. See, he's not just admiring her feet. He's not just admiring her footwear. He's admiring something about her that's very important. Remember in chapter 4, when he inventoried her, remember I told you when he looked at her neck, he said her neck was like the Tower of David, which was a picture of safety and security. In other words, in chapter 4, on their honeymoon, when he looks at his wife's neck, he sees in her neck, beyond her neck, he sees her character. And he says, you're trustworthy. You know what he just said again? He's saying, I can trust you. You know why she has shoes on? She's not there by compulsion. She's not there as a prisoner. She's not there under lock and key. She's there because she wants to be. And she can come and go as she wants. And he says, you know what? No strings attached. I trust you. I think one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard a husband say to his wife in all of my years of ministry was this one statement. Her husband said this. He said, honey, in all of our years of marriage, you have never embarrassed me. Isn't that a beautiful statement? This is what Solomon's saying to his bride. He's saying, you know what, I can trust you. You're not an embarrassment to me. You're not going to do something ridiculous. You have freedom. You come and go. You do whatever because you are trustworthy. He's not just admiring her feet. He's talking about her character. And he goes on further. He says, O prince's daughter. Proverbs 31 tells us that a virtuous woman will be praised by her husband. Fellas, you're married to a virtuous woman. Are you praising her? That's the natural response to a great wife. Honey, you are amazing. Even in the little things. Honey, my wife, I thank my wife for this all the time. I say, honey, thank you for putting my underwear up. My underwear, I go to one place in my closet. Guess where my underwear is? I'm serious. I'm so grateful. Especially when we don't have any clothes on. We've always got 100 people in our house and you're like, I got to get dressed quick, you know. And my underwear is always there. And it's always folded. Doesn't seem like much. I'm appreciative of it, though. And I'll tell her that. I'll say, honey, thank you for always putting my underwear right there and doing that. I don't have to put my underwear up. She does it for me. Isn't that cool? It is to me. So, all right. That may not make it to the third service because I can see that may only be me. It goes on. It says this. It says, your graceful legs are like jewels, the work of an artist's hands. Your navel is a rounded goblet that never lacks blended wine. Your waist is a mound of wheat encircled by lilies. You know, he's going through incredible detail here. I want to point out, because it's of particular importance, that in this day they didn't wear bikinis. He is admiring and appreciating parts of his wife that no one else would ever get a chance to see. Now today we we don't wear as much clothes. But I am going to say this to you, sir, and to you, ma'am, is that there are parts of your husband that only you will know about. There are sanctities, there's sanctuaries rather, in his life and her life. There's secure places that only you're allowed to view. Not just physically, but I'm talking about emotionally and spiritually. You know parts to your husband no one else knows, ma'am. And you know what? When you're standing on that hallowed ground of a place that is very sacred to him, it's really important that you weigh your words. This guy is trustworthy. He's in a place. Now remember, they've been married for some time. She's had children, all right? And he's standing in this place, and you know what he has to say? Nothing but good things. He's encouraging. He's strengthening. He's admiring. And I genuinely believe he saw it this way. I don't think he was just, it wasn't just, he's put on a ruse. I think he was really saying, you're this beautiful. But it was important that when he was in this particular place, not to crush her. There are places and positions that you hold in your spouse's life that where you stand, what your words can do is destroy their soul. You need to weigh your words. You need to consider what you say. This guy, when he's in that sacred spot, he looks at his wife and he says, you are absolutely beautiful. Now, he's more descriptive than that, but that's what he's just said. You're absolutely, absolutely incredible. He goes on, verse 3. He says, your breasts are like two fawns, like twin fawns of a gazelle. I will not mention deer hunting on this verse ever again. It wasn't until later that someone pointed that out to me that was kind of funny, but that's not what I meant by it. So I'm not going to mention that, but here's what I am going to say about this particular verse. If you'll notice, this is exactly the same description that he gives of his wife's breasts when they're on their honeymoon in chapter 4. Now let me ask you a question. After numerous kids and many years later, do you think her breasts look exactly like they did when they were on their honeymoon? They do to him, though. They do to him. They were just as pleasing to him. See, this guy doesn't love this woman for the flesh that's on her body. He loves this woman because of the heart that beats in her chest. And she is beautiful to him. And he wants her to know it. He wants her to know how much he appreciates her. And this guy is honoring this woman. Guys, we got to get used to saying these kind of things. I think, guys, we're the worst about not giving compliments. We're the worst about not encouraging our spouse, not encouraging our wives. And here's what I'll tell you, sir. If you don't give her these kind of words of encouragement, if you don't shore her up this way, she'll find it from somebody else. I'm not joking. She'll be on aisle 9 down there at the Piggly Wiggly, and she'll be picking up a jar of ice cream or something, and some dude will come by and say, woo, you look good. And you know what? If you have not fed her soul, if you've not fed her emotionally with telling her over and over how beautiful, how incredible she is, those words can have too much weight, and all of a sudden, they can mean more to her than they should. Why? Because she was in drought. You didn't feed her with those words. You're her husband. You're the one who sees every part of her. It's all the more important that you tell her those things. When you think of something good, you need to say it. If you don't, someone else will say it. Now, I want to just give a disclaimer here because there's times when people go, so you're saying that if I don't say it, then she's going to find it somewhere else. I'm not giving a free ride to anybody that cheats on anybody else, so just so you know. I've never met a couple that one didn't cheat on the other, they didn't have 27 reasons why they cheated. I want to tell you something. You know what? Your marital relationship is not based on your spouse's performance, okay? Your marital relationship is based on a commitment that you made to Jesus first and then to your spouse. And you have to step away from Jesus first before you can step away from your spouse to cheat, all right? So as I tell you what you should be doing in your marriage to make your marriage stronger, don't take that as a license to believe that it justifies the kind of behavior that says I can step outside of my marriage. Because I want you to know this, your spouse probably has not been as good to you as they should be. And that's every spouse, by the way. But Jesus has been more than good enough to you for you to honor him with the commitment that you made before him. So it's hugely important that you don't get this in your mind that this means, well, he's not using all the good words to me. So I'm going to do so. Or she's not doing all the things I want her to do, so I can go. No, you have to step away from God before you step away from your spouse. That's not what I'm saying. Here's what I am saying, though, sir. You need to have these kind of words for your wife. It strengthens her. It forms her. It makes her. It's important for you to say that. And if you don't, someone else will say it. Listen, you can go to my wife, I promise you, and you can say, Stacy, your hair looks nice today. Too late, I done said it. Said it this morning. She was coming out of the shower. She hadn't even fixed it yet. I was like, your hair looks awesome today. And it did. You look great, honey. You can say, Stacy, you look so nice today. Too late. Over breakfast. Done happened. You're not going to beat me to it. As a matter of fact, I said it the day before yesterday and a week ago and every day in between the week ago and now. I've already said it. Too late. I done said it. Her bank account of love is full, my friend. So, Mr. Piggly Wiggly, say whatever you want to say because my wife is paid up on those things. You're not going to beat me to it. It's not going to happen. Now, you can say, hey, Stacy, you got nice legs. Now I got to kill you, see. Just so you know, I wasn't always a preacher, all right? So before you get punched up in your face, know where the limitations are, all right? All right. But you need to learn to say that to your own spouse, all right? To your own spouse. Verse 5, He says, your head crowns you like Mount Carmel. Remember, that's the place where Elijah brought down the fire and defeated the false prophets. He says, your hair is like royal tapestry. The king is held captive by its tresses. He's saying, you know what? I'm captivated by you. I mean, I don't have to look anywhere else. And one of the things that I think is so beautiful in this story and in these two lives is that as they continue in this marriage, you're going to see how these two just become so bonded together that you can't even see the seam. He says, I'm just captive by you. Now, this is after 20 some odd years of marriage, after having kids. I can't look anywhere else. That's how amazing you are to me. Verse 7, he says, your stature is like that of a palm, and your breasts are like clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree, and I will take hold of its fruit. I don't have to explain that one. I feel comfortable that the mechanics of that kind of was outlined in the verbiage that was there. I will point something out that I love about this particular verse that I think is really important. When he first met this woman, if you'll remember, when they referenced her body, they referenced it as a garden or a vineyard. Do you remember that? But now he doesn't reference it as a vineyard. They referenced it as a garden that was in bloom. It hadn't given its fruit yet, but now it's already, her body has produced fruit. See, he's in love with her now, not because of the way her body looks. He's in deeper love with her now because of what her body has produced. They have kids together and children. And there's a fruit. She has done something in their marriage and in their life. She's brought life into their home, and he appreciates her for that. He's not putting her up next to some calendar model and going, oh, wow, you know what? You need to look like her. No. He's saying that calendar model hadn't brought into my house what you brought into my house. We got little bambinos because of you. It's freaking awesome, and it's amazing, and thank you. That's what he's saying. Now, here's something else. He saw her as a garden when he first met her, but notice he mentions palm trees here. He's talking about her being an oasis. Now, notice this. There are many gardens, but when you talk about an oasis, you're saying you are like an oasis. That means everything around you is like the desert. It's just you. You're that one place of isolated pleasure that I have in a land of desolate parchment. Isn't that pretty incredible? That's how he sees her. Incidentally, sir, when you go through the grocery store and you pick out your goods, when you finish shopping, you go through the cash register line and you pay for it. You don't go back into the produce section, do you? No, you go to the car. You know one of the problems that we have in our marriages today in America is we don't stop shopping. Sir, we got to stop shopping. If you're married, you got one of these, you got a bride on your arm, it's over. You're not looking anymore. You're not shopping. There's no Black Friday deals for you. It's done. Ma'am, you know what? If you're married, you got to be done with the other stuff. You're not looking for another guy. You're not trying to find a guy that's more tender or more this or more. Too late. It's done. You check out. You go get in the car and you go home and make popcorn or something. But you got to do something else. But you got to stop looking. We keep looking. See, America has programmed you to believe that it's okay to look. It's not okay. It's not. He sees this woman as his only source. Sexual pleasure, emotional fulfillment, gratification as far as couples go. He says, you're it. Everything else is a desert. All I see is you. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. He romances her. That's what he does. Verse 10. This is the woman speaking. See, after this guy's going through this, I want you to notice what she says, fellas. This dude's just put on a clinic, how we talk to our wives. Now listen what his wife says. I belong to my beloved, and his desire is for me. I'm going to give you a word. Tishakwa. Say that out loud, everybody. Tishakwa. See, you know, that's a big word. That's a seminary word, tishakwa. You know what it means? It's the word that you use for an animal that consumes another animal. That's the word she uses for desire right there. She says, my husband wants to tishakwa me. That's what it says. Take it up with the Bible. That's what it says. You know what she's saying? She's saying, you know what? Like a wild animal, you know, a lion or something goes after like a wildebeest or something. She says that's what he wants me like that. He's willing to chase and work. That's a descriptive word when it comes to marriage right there. That's what she's saying. She's saying he desires me and I'm his sustenance. He sees that without me he can't live. We're so bonded together now that we even think of that our organs are shared. If we were to be separated, man, we've got but one heart. We've got but one set of lungs. We got but one mind. We're together on this thing. And she says, you know what? He hungers for me. He does. That's cool. They're married. This is cool. This is good. This is good lust. I tell my wife, she struggles with lust for me a lot. And I told her, I said, listen, it's okay. It's not a sin. I mean, it's good stuff. Let me give you two things. It's a little too much laughter there. Hurt a man's self-esteem. All right, let's, two things. Let me give you two secrets to marriage. Serious business. Two secrets. If you don't get anything else out of this, you need to get this. Two secrets, two absolutely essential ingredients to marriage beyond Christ being the center of it, okay? That's assumed. Christ has to be the center. But beyond that, I want to give you two supplies that you supply for one another when it comes to the context of marriage, okay? Two things. First of all, sir, let's talk to you, and I want to talk to you about your wife. What does she need? What does she really need for you? What is she hardwired that she can't live without from you? Here's what she needs: tenderness. She needs tenderness from you. She needs genuine value. She needs tender words. She doesn't need harshness. She doesn't need condemnation. She needs you to be tender with her. Your words, the things you say to her. You know, sometimes we get in a hurry and we get frustrated and we're trying to get going. Listen, never speak harshly to her. Because what you don't realize is you're injuring her in places that will be hard to mend, and it'll be long term. She needs tenderness from you. Incidentally, sir, if she doesn't get tenderness from you, that's when she'll start looking somewhere else. Again, I'm not justifying somebody looking somewhere else. I'm just telling you that you're leaving her in a state of deprivation, all right? And she hungers for that. She hungers for you to treat her tenderly, to speak to her tenderly. That's what she hungers for. She needs that tenderness. Now, ma'am, for your husband, you know what he needs? He needs respect. I know some of you go, wait a second, I thought it was, sex and sandwiches. And that's true on some days. But that's not the deeper need, okay? The deeper need that he needs from you, ma'am, is respect. If you don't give him respect, he'll look somewhere else. And you see it all the time. You'll see a guy at work, because he doesn't get respect at home, guess what he does at work? He becomes a workaholic. He becomes an overperformer. He becomes this guy that's just got to try to get the next award. I've got to have the next position at work, or I've got to have a certain number of figures in my bank account. And so he'll look for respect somewhere else. You'll even see some of these guys running down the highway on their motorcycle. They're 50 years old, shirt unzipped, look like shag carpet pouring out the front. And they're driving along. You know what he's doing? He's trying to relive his youth because he doesn't have respect. He needs respect from you. He needs for you to honor him. I mean, he really does. I was speaking to a lady just the other day, and I thought it was so incredible. She was talking about her husband, and the way she spoke of her husband was so honorable. Whether it was she was talking about his hobbies or the things he does at their home or how he raises their kids, she was so respectful of him. And I thought to myself, that's exactly what we're talking about here. She was so respectful of this guy, her husband. You could see it. She just honored him. I know her husband. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But when she spoke of him a very honorable word. You know what she never did? She never aired her dirty laundry. She never talked down about her husband to me. She just shared with me how incredible a man he is and how honorable he is. She respected him. Let me tell you something. You show me a marriage where the woman is respected, where she's treated tenderly, not harshly, where she's valued. And you show me a marriage where the man is respected and his wife honors him. By the way, a woman when she respects her husband, she'll give herself to him physically. When a woman stops respecting her husband, whether that's his fault or hers, she'll stop giving herself physically. The two are connected. They just are. But you show me a marriage where she's tenderly treated tender and he is respected, and I'll show you a healthy, strong marriage. Incredible marriage. That's a secret. Take that with you right now. You're saying, well, we don't have respect in our marriage. That's something you need to put back in there. You can't survive without it. Well, I don't treat her with those kind of words you're talking about. You got to, sir. You have to. You may talk to the guy on the construction site that's stringing wire for you with that kind of tone of voice, but you will not talk to her that way. But you know what the Bible says about the woman? The Bible says that she's the weaker vessel. That's been so misinterpreted for so many years. Let me clarify that for you. When it says weaker vessel, it means more fragile. Like cut crystal, like china, like beautiful, ornate jewelry. God has given us, sir, an incredible treasure in our wife. She's not an anvil. She is a gorgeous necklace. She's a beautiful goblet. She's a treasure. And how do we treat her? We treat her with care. Does it mean that she's not as strong as we are? I don't know if she can bench press as much as you, but I don't know that that's attractive either. But she is beautiful, and she's fragile. And it's important for you to treat her well with your words. It's hugely important. And ma'am, he needs respect from you. Is he always worthy of respect? You give respect because you love Jesus. Okay? You speak tenderly to her because you love Jesus. Now, someone might say, well, Scott, let me pause you for a second, because in my marriage, there's abuse and there's these kind of things. And let me just talk to you about that for a second, because I always have somebody in this series that'll go, hey, what about abuse? If your spouse, and it goes both ways today, if your spouse is hurting you, you need to get help and you need to get out. Okay? And then from outside of that confines, you can start trying to navigate what that looks like. We'll help you do that. We have counselors. We'll help you navigate what that looks like. We can help you with restraining orders and everything. We've done this dozens of times. We even have some men here that are just barely saved that'll go and get your stuff and move you right out. All right? We're the most courteous church you've ever met. Welcome to that church. All right? If your children are being hurt, you have to get out. Okay? We'll help you. But you have to get out. But that's not the problem with most of our marriages, if we were completely honest. Most of our marriages, you know what's wrong? We're selfish. That's what's wrong. I don't want to be tender. I want to be selfish. You don't want to give respect because you want to be selfish. You're in this for what you can get out of it. At some point, you have to stop thinking about what you get and you have to start investing in it. And it'll become everything that God designed it to be when we face it that way. Tenderness and respect. Let me give you a second thing. If you think something special, you have to do it. You have to do it. And I want to talk about purposeful time. Listen to this. Verse 11 says, come, my beloved, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the village. It's springtime again. She's saying, let's go to a bed and breakfast. When was the last time you took your husband or your wife and you just went somewhere and you just did something together and rediscovered some stuff you'd forgotten about or discovered some new things about each other? You got to do that. You got to make that kind of investment. Look at verse 12. It says, let us go early to the vineyards and see the vines. This is the woman speaking. See if the vines have budded and their blossoms have opened. If the pomegranates are in bloom, there I will give you my love. She's saying, let's go back to that cool place where we used to make love together early on. Let's go back to that spot. All of us have some special spots, don't we? Here a while back, my wife and I, we were cruising down the road and there was this spot we had parked and had a moment years ago. And I was like, I said, you remember that spot? She's like, I remember it. I said, are you thinking what I'm thinking? She said, yeah. And I go to pull over there, and then I hear the kids in the back seat. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. She wasn't thinking what I was thinking. But, spice it up. Do something cool. Ladies, show up at the door when he gets there dressed in saran wrap. I don't know. Be creative. You know what I'm saying? But some purposeful time. This lady says, come on, let's go to the hillside. You know what the king does? He jumps up and throws his crown down like a big 12 cap. And he says, let's go do it. And they go running out to the vineyard. They go to hang out. That's cool. We need to make that kind of investment. Not only that, purposeful time, but we need some thoughtful acts. What are some thoughtful acts? Verse 13 says, the mandrakes send out their fragrance. By the way, that's an aphrodisiac. And at our door is every delicacy, both old and new. And I've stored them up for you. She's saying, you know what? Let's do something fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's make an investment. Sometimes what we do is we give 3 dozen roses to our wife, on Mother's Day or some other birthday or something, but we don't even mention it ever again. Or maybe you bought her a car 3 years ago and you're still living off of that. Romance should be cultivated every day. What about instead of 3 dozen roses on Mother's Day, what if you sent her a rose every day for the next 6 months? What if you sent her that text every day and you said, honey, I just want to let you know you're so awesome. You're beautiful. You're a great mom. You're so good to me. And be real specific about it. You got up this morning and you got everything ready before we left. Thank you for that. You're just incredible. And ma'am, what about the same with you? What about instead of an inventory of all the stuff he hasn't done today, what if when you meet him you said, hey, listen, I just want to tell you I love you. And I'm glad you're home, Tiger. Whatever. Let me give you a third and final thing. We're going to get out of here. If you want something different, you need to be it. Over and over, we can critique our spouse, can't we? We can look at our husband, we can look at our wife, we can say, this is what you need to do. You were not sent into a marital relationship to be the change agent, incidentally. It's important for you to remember that. You know who the change agent is? The Holy Spirit of God. And He's good at it, way better than you. So stop trying to be the change agent and start being the wife or start being the husband. And if you want something different in your marriage, then you change. You change. Well, I want my husband as a spiritual leader. Are you a spiritual follower? So often when I hear women talking about what they want as a spiritual leader from their husband, very often it's the same women that wouldn't let him lead if he had to, if he wanted to. He's scared. You're brutal. You frighten him, you know. Give him an opportunity. Do you praise when he does spiritual things or do you critique it? Oh, our marriage needs counseling. We'll go to counseling. Well, my husband won't go with me. Then you go to counseling. What do you mean? I'm not broke. We're broke. No, if the marriage is broken, you're one flesh, you're broke too. You just go. One of the greatest things my wife ever did to me, I don't know if it was for me, but to me in our marriage, is she stopped arguing with me. When we get to a certain point, she's like, I'm done with that. We're not going to argue anymore. It's between you and God, whatever you decide. Between me and God? You feel like you've been turned into the principal. No, it's not between me and God. It's me and you, and then we'll pray God into it later. Let's talk about it. And she's like, no, you and God. I've resigned, whatever y'all decide. Oh, I hate that. My wife used to give me a hard time. In church, church work, hard to believe, church work can dominate your family sometimes. And I'd be at the church all the time doing this. And she wanted me home with the kids, and she'd mention that over and over. And finally, one night I come home, and I'm like, I just want you to know, I'm working on it, trying to get myself in order and squaring some things away and everything, and I'm trying to figure out where my priorities need to be. She said, you don't have to tell me. It's okay. I turned you over to the Lord. I'm cursed now. What does that mean? But you know what's funny is that she wanted me to do the right things. And so you know what she did? You know what the right thing was? Was to talk to God about it. And you know what God did? He terrorized me like a pit bull. That's what He did. That's what the Holy Spirit does sometimes. He's like a pit bull. He just gets a hold of you. And you know what? Changes started being. As long as I was arguing with her, I could win that battle. But the moment she said, now you got to argue with God, you never win that one. He doesn't negotiate well at all. He will not sit down at the table. Hey, if you do this, I'll do this. He's like, no, you're going to do this. Take it or leave it. You go all in or forget it. And when she did that, my life changed. Our marriage changed. So here's what I'll say to you. If you want change in your marriage, you become what you want your marriage to become. If you want your husband to be a spiritual leader, then you be a spiritual follower and you be a spiritual leader where you're supposed to be. You want Bible study to be present in your marriage, then get your Bible out and study it. If you want prayer to be dominant in your home, then you start praying. If you want fasting to be a part of the lifestyle, then you do it. You want your family to come to church, you come to church. Whether they come with you or not, you come anyway. Whatever you want to happen, you be it. You do it. And you know what? You leave the rest up to God. He's able to change the hearts of people. He is a redeemer. He is a resurrector. And that's what He does. But let me tell you this. When two people come together, the beautiful story can finish this way. In verse 6, it says, place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. For love is strong as death. Its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like a blazing fire, like a mighty flame. The Bible says that, you know what? When we honor God the way He wants us to honor Him and each other in marriage, it's incredibly rewarding. And more than that, it's strong. It's really strong. I know some of us can go through our minds and go inventory 100 things we've done wrong. Hey, listen, you know what? Let's start today by putting God first. Let's put God in on the problems. Let's put God in on the mistakes. Let's start turning our spouses over to God. It works, I promise. And let's start being what we want to change. If we'll do that, God will honor it. Let's bow our heads. Nobody looking around for just a second. Let me just point one quick thing out. Today, far beyond your marital problems, whether you're married or single or married in a great marriage or a bad marriage, whatever, far beyond that, it's impossible to think that God can honor and work in a relationship when He first doesn't have a relationship with you. It's going to start, everything's going to start, and it's going to finish with God's relationship with you. Today, the most pressing decision you have to make is this. Ask this question: do I have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ? And if you say, man, I don't have that relationship, then let's get that right first. The rest of it will not fall into place until that is corrected first. And today you can do that simply by a simple prayer. Heads bowed, eyes closed, just a silent prayer. Just say this to God. If you're ready for your life to be in God's hands, if you're ready for a relationship with God through Jesus, then pray a simple prayer just like this. Just say this silently. Say, Lord, I realize today how bad I need You. that I can't fix myself or my problems. I need you. Lord, I trust that you gave your life for me on a cross, that you died in my place, that the punishment that should have been mine fell on you. And Lord Jesus, today, I ask you to save me. I accept the forgiveness that you've offered me, and I look forward to the new life that you've invited me into. Lord Jesus, teach me every day how to live. But for today, thank you, God, for saving me. Thank you, God, for loving me. I offer this prayer and I give you thanks in Christ's name. Amen.